Hey guys, welcome back to the Full Feature Podcast. It's Ian here, and as usual, I'm joined by Tiernan and Jack. And this week we decided to go for something a little bit more general. I think between us talking about the Fallout adaptation and things like that, we thought it'd be cool to talk about some of our favourite depictions of dystopias and kind of post-apocalyptic kind of settings. And there's literally countless films like this. I mean, we'll probably be naming many, but it's almost like its own genre now.
Yeah,
like
absolutely. And there's definitely a fascination throughout humans.
Yeah, and I mean, it goes back to literature and stuff, which we'll get into. But to give a kind of a good general sense, Tiernan, you're going to explain kind of what we mean by dystopia or post-apocalyptic.
Well, last week we were kind of when we decided to do this last week, we had a big discussion of like what counts as a dystopian, like a piece of work, and what doesn't, basically. What counts as post-apocalyptic. So we were kind of arguing, is Mad Max dystopian, is it post-apocalyptic? The best example I think was given was what we came up with is, if you're looking at Will Smith, I, Robot is a dystopia, I Am Legend is a post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
But they're actually the same thing, which I didn't realize. So the direct, I don't really kind of vibe with that at all, to be honest, but the direct definition is an imagined state or society in which there is a great suffering or injustice, typically one that is totalitarian or post-apocalyptic.
Okay, so this is the definition of dystopia.
That's the exact definition.
Also utopia, because they're basically the same thing.
Basically the same.
Yeah, well, I mean, like...
One's shiny.
Yeah.
you usually find the dystopia in a utopia.
Yeah.
I actually have a cool fact. So the first time it was ever used, back in let me find this now. It was back in 1868 by an English economist called John Stuart Mill, who was talking about the British Empire, in terms of the British Empire, about the Irish land policy. So that's the first time that word was ever coined.
Dystopia was used.
Yeah.
That is a great fact.
And in Latin, this is bad. And topia refers to utopia, and I mean the kind of level out. You find the dystopia in the utopia.
That's so strange, man, because we also invented boycotts.
Yeah, we
did. We actually did. Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
And
the monorail.
I think dystopias and boycotts kind of go hand in hand. But it's funny you actually mentioned like the idea of a utopia and how like a utopia is essentially always a dystopia, because we're talking about dystopia in regards to film, obviously in literature it's been timeless, like George Orwell's 1984 is possibly
I think that's probably the most famous example
probably
of
like
dystopia.
the pivotal piece, you know. But the first one I believe that was in cinema is Fritz Lang's Metropolis.
Oh, of course.
And it's kind of like the entry level kind of film studies piece. It's basically about a utopia that's kind of it's German expressionism, completely ahead of its time. Absolutely, kind of. It's one of those films that, like, when you're watching it, you're kind of like, I can see why this was incredibly important to filmmaking.
Yeah. As
a whole, not that you're going to go back and watch it now and be like, I'm
thoroughly
enjoying this.
Yeah.
You know,
it's also more of a visual film, isn't it?
Really
it's not there for a story.
It's 1927, and it's extremely ahead of its time. I can't express that enough, but it's about this utopia of these people who like kind of don't have to work. There's kind of like a leader. It's really mechanical. You can see a lot of inspiration that like Terry Gilliam got in like Brazil to like the world building, and you know, like the big omonomous buildings.
Yeah, like skyscrapers that are almost like endless.
Exactly. And then so basically there's this kind of upper class, this rich upper class, and dystopias are usually based on class systems anyway. But you have this like huge mechanical world. And below the surface is kind of like the poor people, all kind of, that are the engineers essentially.
Turning the cogs,
and it's about a prophet who kind of brings them together, and then like one of the upper class meets that prophet, and that's kind of how the story unfolds, and then like anarchy breaks loose at the end of the majority of films we're going to be watching.
Yeah.
Or like there's the other side of dystopias where it's like one just powerless person completely sees why it's a dystopia, and then it ends.
Rises up against it.
and then it ends, and nothing gets done, and you're just left in that dystopia. But I think that this genre is like really important because it's definitely a genre for me anyway that really highlights, it caricatures elements of our own society and really kind of highlights like why they should be kind of common knowledge to everyone, why everyone should kind of like look past it and see it, and I think they're all very important. And
yeah, I mean it's also as well like it's a genre that because we've discussed dystopian films before.
Lots of them actually.
We've like we're going to
Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer, a huge one.
The Platform was another one.
Yeah, Platform. You can it's also it's a genre. So obviously a very famous one, as we said, is 1984, and that comes from a very dark novel. It's very, and also because that was a very serious novel. But there's depictions of dystopia there. They had a lot of fun with them. So like Mad Max, like they're clearly, we're a pretty grim society, but it's over the top and it's campy and it's a bit of crack, and they're all
fun fact about
cars,
that.
Like,
there was no script, just storyboards.
For the first Mad Max? Or?
No, for the Mad Max that they made, so it was just concepts. And then they just filmed it.
Another fun fact about Mad Max is, I think I might have told you guys this though before, maybe I said it in a podcast before, but basically it was the inspiration for Saw, the movie Saw.
Yeah.
I've done this before, but the chain arm to the thing, and you've got 1 minute till they get there. It'll take you 50 seconds to saw your arm off. But Mad Max is funny because obviously it's George Miller, and he had a vision of a dystopian Australia, and he basically just set it in the desert, and I just love that about it because it's just so barren and kind of just wild and crazy, and he clearly took that from like probably just like Aussie kind of culture, because I mean we've always seen depictions of like dystopian societies in America and like what an American society would be like, or European,
or even
British and European,
that's
that's fair, like V for Vendetta and things like that. No, that's a kind of dystopian one.
And
but
1984
is the quintessential one, which is British. So, but he obviously was like, I'm just going to go balls to the wall, where it's every man for themselves. There's some sort of nuclear holocaust happened, but I love that he set it in Australia. It's all Aussie fellas in it. It obviously put Mel Gibson on the map, and even the newer one, which is like my favorite one, Fury Road. Obviously, they cast like Tom Hardy and stuff in it, but there was a lot of other Aussies in it and stuff, and it was just so wonderfully weird, but also so grim. And what I loved about it was it's a movie where it's just like every man for himself. It's just
while I do think it is like very post-apocalyptic, there is also like structural societal elements to it. That kind of like that's what makes it more so a dystopian piece for me, rather than. But you see, there's also what kind of I've noticed about all these dystopian films, and like what brings it under it is there's always one like piece of technology or like resource that's gone. There, like say Clockwork Orange, for example, is technically a dystopian.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah.
Because they have the kind of the brainwashing, their kind of what's it called, conditioning. Prisoners who are like they've committed like awful crimes, they're naturally violent and like inherently violent, to get sick every time they think about like committing a crime, or every time they think about something like sexual, like going against like basically animalistic urges, and they get like naturally sick from it, and it's kind of like a criticism of that. But then you also have like Total Recall, which is like completely opposite end to a dystopia, but they still have that kind of one piece of technology that kind of makes it.
And like the thing about a dystopia as well is like what I've always liked about depictions of dystopia is they tend to take a part in time and leave it kind of frozen in time, but they might add sci-fi elements. So dystopian films tend to be science fiction. A lot of them do. Like, essentially. So what I loved about like V for Vendetta is like, you very much is London and you recognise it, and like Westminster Abbey and stuff, but there's sci-fi elements.
Absolutely.
Like V for Vendetta, I mean, that is just to put on record, that is my favourite film of all time, and it is just the most. Why I think it's such an great. What I love about this genre, because every single film that's made in this genre takes a completely unique approach to it. And what I love about V for Vendetta is it is like you took Shakespearean writing, put it in a dystopian society, and made the main character, the antagonist, a comic book character.
That's perfect.
A vigilante, and it's just this incredible sense of revolution. But at the same time, if you're looking at V for Vendetta as a dystopian piece, do you look at Fight Club as a dystopian piece?
Ooh.
There's so many elements you can put into this, because Fight Club, while it's dystopian, like in the definition, says imagined society, and Fight Club is very much based in kind of in our society.
I would say
it's pretty in reality.
It is. It
is. I mean, when you watch Fight Club, you don't think it's
I don't think I'm watching like an alternate universe.
You don't think it's outworldly, but there's very little difference, except for theatricality, of course, between Tyler Durden and V.
I mean, they're both, they won't want to cause chaos. They're both anarchists.
And Ed Norton and Natalie Portman are kind of the same roles in that. They're kind of.
That's actually a good one, because I never would have considered Fight Club a a dystopian.
Especially because fucking IKEA's in it, like.
But that's kind of that explains.
That's kind of dystopian. Yeah.
That's
like IKEA would definitely be the only place you get furniture
IKEA,
in the fucking dystopian future.
You get like trapped in that place. It's just insane. Like no natural lighting in that giant.
Yeah,
place.
no, that is IKEA actually weirdly dystopian enough. Is IKEA is a marketing technique. It's called physical marketing, where it's impossible to go through that place quickly without looking at all of the products.
No way.
Yeah, so it was
so
developed. It was developed by them. So in order to get out of IKEA, you have to go through IKEA.
Sure, remember the Unabomber put it in his manifesto, and it was in the series about that you have to, whenever you go to IKEA, you have to follow the yellow arrows.
Follow the yellow arrows to get
arrows,
out.
Yeah. I mean, and that's like back to the point. Like the Unabomber's whole manifesto was like grounded in this dystopian idea, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's how much it affects society, and I definitely had just been like integral in all of these films.
And what I love about it as well is like you can take the dystopian aspect and take one little minute detail about, say, current society that is probably a little bit of probably a problem, and then you exacerbate it, and then it becomes the crux of all of society's problems. So like children of men. There's no
big problem.
But also just refugees.
Right, and things like that.
And like in Brazil, it's bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy, exactly. It's the idea of like you take one thing that is probably holding society back, and you frame a world around that and say, look how much the world could go so shitty. But what I love about, say, something like Brazil is that's quite campy. Now it gets very dark. We'll get into that as well when we get into it. But it gets extremely dark. But is like the hero in Brazil, the superhero is Robert De Niro, who is a plumber. That's his job. He's a plumber.
It kind of reminds me of like a Monty Python episode, like the start of it.
He was
Terry Gilliam.
This
is it.
Just like the way they spoke and everything. It's like, what are you doing in here? He's got the wrong floor.
You haven't filled out form G7B to have this conversation. Like I love that. Like
it's hilarious.
And to be fair, apparently, so like people give out about EU regulations, but apparently, British regulations are insane. So like even if you're an electrician and you want to go at a box, you have to fill out all these different forms.
He literally, Sam Lowry saves Robert De Niro by
letting changing his boiler.
Saves him as well by like telling the actual like permitted heat technicians that they have to have a certain form, and that's how that stops them in their tracks.
Fight bureaucracy with bureaucracy.
You can't beat them, join them. Like
it's like we've seen it and it's been done in so many different ways. Like that small element, like VR, for example, is then Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg. And have you watched it yet, Ian?
No.
You bastard.
That's a really cool.
You're just gonna have to keep saying it every single podcast.
That's such a really cool concept. For like it's presented as this fun, cool world you can escape to, but then as the movie goes on, obviously you see that like the people are kind of fighting against it in a way, and fighting away like the corporation that's kind of like, I don't want to spoil too much on it, but
it's that whole idea of kind of we're living in a virtual reality, that whole like really popularized Elon Musk theory. I know it's not Elon Musk, but he just popularized it. But the whole idea that the rate at which video games are growing, we could be in a simulation. And I mean, you like Ready Player One is definitely a good like kind of demonstration of how far video games could take us to the point.
And Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Oh my
fucking
God.
the panda.
How did I not even think about that?
Black Mirror is...
But Black Mirror has lots of dystopias. I mean...
It does, yeah. Well, my favourite is the Christmas episode where you get your conscious cloned, and then they become your Siri in your house, and basically John Hamm comes over and sets it up. Inverted commas. And what happens is that you're sentient when you're put into your kitchen, I don't know, whatever, the little glass box that they have or
basically
whatever.
Your Google Home.
Yeah, your Google Home. Yeah. And your consciousness is put in there, so it knows exactly what you like. It knows exactly what temperature you want, how exactly you like your tea, how exactly you like your toast. It sounds banging. But John Hamm tortures you until you like, basically he winds the clock for like, he makes it 5 seconds for him, 30 years for the girl.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, she's literally begging to be her own slave.
Yeah.
So like that's a really interesting concept, something that like you wouldn't have thought of before.
Yeah.
And even again, the other one with the dating app, it's like rather than, just swiping out of like, oh, Ian's really attractive.
It takes 98% simulations of these people together.
That's a really amazing.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorites.
That's an amazing piece of TV.
Hang the DJ.
See, your
that's the
man.
name of the episode.
See, your man was like, I'm not releasing it in 2020. It's too fucking dark already. Like
Charlie Brooker.
He's fucking dead right. The world does not need.
He's incredible.
Another. He's such a.
I mean, he's completely changed dystopia to the point where this is like obviously where technology could take us, but it's also just like what's happening kind of now in a lot of sense.
All of his things are all satirical.
They're all blown up and like sensationalized, but they're also just he's making issues physical.
Yeah.
Rather than like say for instance, Men Against Fire. Men Against Fire, like Men Against Fire is essentially like what happened the Jewish people in Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
But it's put into this cookie that's like inserted in your neck, and then you don't have to condition soldiers to hating who they're like killing or who they're policing.
You just put a fucking chip in their head.
Chip in their head, and they'll see them as these monsters. And I mean that's how Charlie Brooker like really portrays a dystopia in such a relatable way, because I mean like we even saw in the episode Nosedive where you have to like everyone who's going by.
That already happens in China. It already happens in China, and we'll soon all be getting implants. I swear, we already are. Well, basically with our phones, we already are cyborgs because we rely on it 24/7. The first thing you do, and I know everyone who's listening right now, the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is check your phone before you even say fucking hi to your dog or whatever, or brush your teeth or anything. You're checking your Twitter, your Instagram, your notifications. We basically are cyborgs, but it's just external on our skin, and soon it will be internal. It goes from Apple Watch to Apple Chip. We'll be paying for fucking lattes with our fingers.
Well, sure, in Sweden, don't they do that already? There's microchipping in Sweden that has all.
Well, like we microchip our dogs basically. Like.
I would so not be down for that at all.
I know, me neither.
I for one welcome the chip. I want to feel like Master Chief.
Our chip overlords.
Cortana. Yeah. But remember the Neuralink. Remember Elon Musk released the Neuralink, or the advertisement basically for the Neuralink.
Yeah, and Joe Rogan was there like, what the fuck?
Everyone was just like, no, we don't want
to. No one wants this. Like,
please, like that's the last thing. And he was literally like, I love how like they didn't even wait to say that like the Neuralink will have ads until like it's in you. They were like, we are going to be running advertisements.
Well, like there's a really cool short film that they made. It's completely something I was shown fucking 5 years ago, so I don't have it on me. But it's basically like showing the future of like these Neuralinks, and like it's basically you're walking through, and instead of ads being like, so say when you go past an Argos, and there's the Argos sign, you see it there, it'll be like a hologram reflection there, show you specific things that you like and that you want, just like you see on your fucking Instagram. I went out today and I tents out over the weekend because I was testing them. I got a new tent and I wanted to see if it would stay dry, so I left it out there for 2 nights, and I went in today and I put my tent up, and I texted my mum, said, put the tents up on my YouTube later. Tents.
How to pitch
like, would you fuck off?
I know, it's insane. I mean, we've literally,
and we just allow it.
Oh yeah, we've just completely sold our privacy and our
we're all completely okay with it.
Yeah. So, like I'm sometimes like, you do know me. You do know me.
I remember that happened to me once when I was going around town, and I went in for the first time ever to Holland & Barrett, because I was getting into exercise, and so I was like, right, I need all like the right protein and stuff, like, you know, really embracing that kind of side of things. And I physically went into the shop, physically came out of the shop, never once went near my phone. As soon as I was on the train, I had ads for a Holland & Barrett.
Exactly,
protein.
like it picks up your location.
It picks up your location.
Holland & Barrett,
which is insane.
I know,
like everyone's just
crazy,
like, this is chill, you know.
Yeah. But so going back to that, then, so I think as well, there's kind of different ends of these dystopians where they will take something like, say, consumerism and say let's and make it funny. So Fight Club does kind of have that, like our obsession with consumerism and things like that and all.
I mean, that's done like Ready Player One is very much consumerism.
Yeah,
WALL-E is very much consumerism.
Exactly. WALL-E is a perfect depiction of
for kids.
It's for kids, we're destroying the planet. But that's because the comments on loads of things about like overindulgence, like
even like the use of like the pyramid. In like the pyramid is such a huge prominent kind of symbol in all of these, especially in 1984 actually. It's mainly that kind of whole like capitalist idea of the very few at the top and the massive, or like these societies are always extremely layered, And I mean, even like Total Recall has that where it's like the mutant Mars people who are all like in air bubbles.
Exactly.
And you have the big capitalist overlord who could give them all air but decides to sell them their air instead. Which is weirdly the premise for the Lorax as well. I don't know.
Well, did you? I find as well with dystopian movies now. I definitely think they're becoming more popular now because we probably live in very dystopian feeling times, particularly now with coronavirus and everything. But I think they were definitely popular for a certain period, and obviously Charlie Brooker's stuff helped bring them back into the mainstream again. Yeah. But I think
they fell off for a few, definitely.
They did, yeah, and I think a big one was the 80s, because if you look at the 80s, there was tons of dystopian movies in the 80s. Brazil, which we're talking about, was 1980s. Terminator.
I watched the original Terminator today,
Superb.
like the first time fucking in maybe like 15 years.
Superb.
It's brilliant.
So
it's brilliant.
Good.
It's brilliant.
So
good. It's only an hour and a half.
Yeah, one and two.
And like they have such a great concept there in the first one, and you can see the kind of things that they left
and
there.
They have the AI dystopia.
Which we're still talking about today. Like, I mean, one of the most dangerous things for the human race is AI. And people think it's going to be these fucking Terminators that come out of the the ground. but apparently it's going to be like a farming robot that decides in order to keep up with the population it needs to flatten the city to make more potatoes.
Well, exactly.
And it will have the ability to do that because we've just given up farming to these fucking robots.
Exactly. Once they have sentience.
Sentience. It's once they become. Well, they actually probably are smarter than most humans.
Well, that's the thing. But I also have always enjoyed that depiction of sentience and that and to give credit to something like say Star Trek, they always played around with that where like say AI or something once it has sentience, it's not necessarily evil. It's just trying to do its job.
Yeah.
It's just. What's the problem here? Humanity is
humanity's pretty shit.
I gotta get rid of this.
It's kind of like the balance in like RoboCop. You know, I mean, you have the mechanical side of RoboCop.
Another 80s movie.
Another 80s movie is Judge Dredd. Another 80s.
Judge Dredd.
The Dredd remix class.
I think the surge in technology though is kind of what brought them back up, because we actually are all forgetting like the main dystopian film that like really popularized it, which is The Matrix.
Of course.
I mean, The Matrix is that goes back to the simulation. It was so ahead of its time. I mean, we're talking about Ready Player One. The Matrix crawled.
And the Matrix 1 is like a perfect action movie with a bit of social commentary in it.
An extreme amount of social commentary.
And a great bit of science fiction. It has everything.
But like when you go into it, like you're like, oh, this would be an action movie, and then it hits you with like everything.
All these
I like the second one. I like the second one.
I like the second one.
I like the second one. The third one, okay. I've watched the first two, so I have to. But no, like I really like the concepts there. I feel like those movies were made ahead of their time because the CGI is very dated now, especially the final fight in the third one where basically like
it's just like
it just turns into like a PlayStation 2 game.
Remember in Reloaded when he's fighting all of the Agent Smiths, and if you watch that back now, I mean like Neo's green because he's going through a computer so quickly. But I mean like they're in a simulation.
I mean technically they're in a computer. So
I mean that can fucking apologise to itself as much as it wants.
But to be fair with The Matrix as well, was like I don't think they were meant to get the sequel power that they did. I think the first one was just like
it was so iconic as well though. I mean all like the black leather,
part of pop culture, the bullet time CGI,
the fucking
slow
the phone booth. Everything. The two lads in the all white with the white dreads banging,
all these things that are like
the big action sequences, you know,
and they were ambitious. They were such ambitious.
Well, you see, this is like just kind of coming into the era of like CGI. Like, it was kind of weird because
they invented bullet time, which is like used in movies now, but at the time then it was like the first time you'd seen something slowed down and like
that is amazing. Like that still holds up.
There was like I watched Total Recall this week just because it was
the original one with Colin Farrell.
The original.
The one's great.
I didn't want to watch the one with Colin Farrell.
Have you seen it?
But no.
At all? It's the worst thing.
Apparently they just complete. Well, like I watched a bit of it, but it's nothing like the.
It's not set on Mars.
Is it not?
Well, no, Mars was the whole draw of the first one. Like.
Yeah. Had an obsession with Mars for a bit.
It's set in like a dystopian Earth, and you can travel from one end of the planet to another through a tunnel. And then
they were extremely lazy then.
They're so lazy. Like,
so I was watching Total Recall, and there's actually really cool. You know, Dan O'Bannon.
Yes, love him.
He wrote the idea for fucking Total Recall. He wrote it, and he decided that there wasn't enough like kind of CG effects or really resources to go ahead and make this movie, so he put it off. In the meantime, he worked on a script about a space crew getting terrorized by a space monster that became Alien, obviously went on to be much more successful than Total Recall. But Total Recall, it's interesting watching it because you can kind of see how this was one of the last films to use practical effects as well as kind of CG effects. Because there was like a period from like the late 90s to like the early 2000s where like just CG effects. This is all we can do. But I mean, it didn't really age well in a way. Like there's just scenes where like Arnold Schwarzenegger's face
it's like
clay mold bursting and everything. And
it also had that famous scene with the three-boobed lady.
Yeah, the three-boobed lady. That's great prosthetics right there.
I mean, they had to include that in the remake, of course. It's just so stupid.
I love in like the first Terminator. They're like, yes, everything about him is human. He sweats, hair, skin. But like to be honest, when they're doing like so the Terminator T2000 whatever hurts his arm, and then like there's a clay Arnie basically.
Exactly.
But like it looks okay for 1984.
I think it looks amazing.
It's great and then the stop motion. I was watching that and being like, fuck me, like now they have not Emily Blunt, sorry, who's Daenerys Targaryen?
Fucking
Emilia Clarke. Sorry, yeah, Emily Blunt in a great kind of Terminator inspired movie that we talked about last week. But Emilia Clarke is in the most recent, and Arnie seems to really be like really scraping the bottom of the barrel now.
Did you see he got drop kicked recently?
Yeah, that was about a year ago.
Was it about a year ago? Yeah.
Oh yes, someone fucking drop kicked him.
Fuck
off, he's sound.
The man is in his 70s.
Well, Pumping Iron. We got to do documentaries. Again, because Pumping Iron is amazing. It is fucking great. It's a great insight into like what it was like back then. It's fucking fucked up. Like it's really fucked up.
He blatantly used steroids and stuff, didn't he? Back
then? No. Pumping Iron's 18s because he's proper. He's like they're like, this will make me powerful. And like,
but I remember he wasn't allowed to lift weights until he was 16. I remember that was like a main thing I remembered. And then just when he was allowed, he just went at it. Like,
But his father was like, had him fucking running laps around the fucking garden at 6 a.m. Like.
He's meant to be such a nice guy though.
Yeah, he's got his shit together.
During the filming of Total Recall, your man Michael Ironside, who plays kind of like the semi-villain, he's kind of like the grunt villain in it.
Was he also in RoboCop 2?
I'll check now for you.
There was a RoboCop remake that was.
He's in Starship Troopers.
These were all Paul Verhoeven movies. He was great at a bit of dystopia.
Don't know if he's in RoboCop
before he decided to make just erotic thrillers.
Sharon Stone as well got the role from Basic Instinct from.
That was Paul Verhoeven as well. I'm pretty sure. Like,
the very famous fucking leg crossing scene. That was all the rage back in the 80s. Or was it 90s?
It was the 80s.
80s, yeah.
Anyway, though, Michael Ironside, like in between takes, he was constantly on the phone, and Arnie like asked him what was going on because he noticed that like he was constantly on the phone, and it turned out his sister had cancer, and she was going through chemo, and he was ringing her to basically check up on her. So Arnie took him into his like room, his like whatever the actor trailer, and had an hour and a half conversation with him and his sister about like what nutrition she should be getting, what exercises she should be doing, and like both of them go on record to being like he's the nicest man on the planet, and they've never forgotten him.
Good guy.
Yeah, fuck it, he can make all the shitty Terminator movie he wants. But no, they are quite bad, but he's quite good in it. I like the concept of Genesis. So like it's basically it's set in the Terminator 1 world.
Yeah.
But John Connor sends back old Arnie to fight. Sends back old Arnie, as in like old man Arnie to fight young Arnie.
And old man Arnie he went back to save Sarah Connor as a child, and he ended up raising her, didn't he? And she calls him Pa. Oh my god, it was the timeline is just a mess.
Yeah, but like the timeline makes no sense.
They just don't respect it at all.
Yeah, and they've said that no matter what happens, like it happens. Skynet happens.
Skynet is inevitable.
It is supposed to happen. And they keep on making these movies, and like all of the time they're saying we can stop it, and like Arnie's there saying like we can stop it, like, and then by the end of it nothing happens.
Skynet happens.
You know who ruined their career? You know your man who plays the Terminator in Genesis? He was in Lawless.
Matt.
Yeah, it's Matt.
Is it Matt Reeves? No, he's a director. he was promising.
He was quite promising, but then he made this in 2015 because he made Lawless with like Shia LaBeouf,
Tom Hardy,
and Tom
Jason
Hardy.
Clarke.
Jason Clarke.
He's John Connor in this, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's also
he's the Terminator. So John Connor is replaced by Terminator basically in this timeline. But no, he was quite a promising actor, and he's really gone to shit. But
also as well, I saw Terminator when I was like way too young. I'd say I saw it.
Yeah, my parents were like, "Oh, it's a funny movie. Look, he says I'll be back."
I was like, Terminator 2 kind of is like.
Well, Terminator 2 is definitely more kids friendly, I think, because like John.
It's
John
12.
Connor
It's 12. The original Terminator is 18.
18s.
Main character.
It scared the shit out of me. Both Arnie and.
The
actual Terminator without all the
the skeleton.
That scared the fucking shit out of me. I'm telling you, like that, like, and that definitely like got me into dystopias. I think like those depictions, like it scared me. But I always liked
like post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, and I like when they're a little bit creepy and a little bit like unnerving and scary. Like obviously, I think Mad Max is one that's like. Just has fun with the concept of it. Like it's a bit like, oh, you like seeing the weirdos on screen, you like seeing the mutants and stuff. And like Total Recall as well is one that has
it's very much like that, definitely like the brothel and everything.
Blade Runner, lads.
Yeah.
Blade Runner.
How are we not talking about Blade Runner?
I love the original Blade Runner,
No, you didn't.
Well, like, I enjoyed that.
We watched it together. You hated it at the time. I actually liked it, like, once I sat on it.
I don't know, like, I've kind of, like, learned to appreciate it more now for what it did, because it was made so long ago. And then when you watch that opening scene, you're like, oh, it is pretty good. Like,
it's so good.
No,
I mean, it's
I didn't like the sequel. I didn't like the sequel.
What? I love the sequel.
No, but the reason I don't like the sequel is, right, I went to go see it in town with Paul. And then it was on for fucking 3 hours, and there wasn't no trains, and then I got a taxi home, and it cost me like 40 quid.
So the experience.
Yeah, and I don't like Jared Leto. I don't like Jared Leto.
I'm a fan of him.
I have completely gone off Jared Leto, unfortunately. Since
I thought he was promising, but then like.
I think he is a good actor. He has the potential to be.
Well, he just made Joker.
He has
he didn't make Joker. Sorry, he was the Joker in Suicide Squad, which I think was a terrible role for him to take in the first place. I feel like he was like chomping at the bit, like to literally like fucking have that role.
Yeah,
I think he thought it wouldn't be as detrimental to his career as it was.
Yeah, really fucking.
Whereas like people like Margot Robbie,
he was just off an Oscar.
She's kind of kept a
but
good
she's
balance.
Great. She's great in it though.
Like, I actually liked her in Suicide Squad.
She's kept a great balance between like she can play, kind of do any role.
She can make an Italia or make a Suicide Squad. Yeah.
And it like I don't know. Jared Leto, he just really kind of fucked it with that, didn't he? But he also said like producers really fucked him with it because they had so much fun.
Yeah, but he also went to like the news. He was always in the news being like, I'm doing this crazy shit to Will Smith.
He's trying so hard.
I've been sending fucking dead rats to Will Smith. Will Smith doesn't fucking open his own mail, okay? You know?
Exactly,
like he's got bigger things in his mind at the moment.
Yeah, he does, yeah. Poor Will Smith at the moment, we won't get into that. I think the whole of Blade Runner though is like kind of it is a tough watch definitely, but it's also like that kind of it was one of those first films that like took the noir aspects of dystopian and really kind of it was like watching kind of like a 50s noir
50s movie,
like detective film except set in 100 years in the future, and then the final like line by the android in it, which all those moments will be lost like tears in the rain. That's like the most iconic sentence in anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like the thing about Blade Runner was I thought was really ingenious was the Asiatic influence on the cities, and it's because now we're seeing how much Asian culture is starting to influence Western culture now because they've become such an economic powerhouse. And this was back in the 80s when China was nowhere near the level it is now in terms of like...
That's similar in like almost every single dystopian film as well though. What was I watching recently, and it was tuk-tuks around kind of like a dystopian...
Children of Men.
Children of Men. And even in like... What was the other film I was thinking about? Oh, fuck it, I can't think of it, but...
but like this is the thing, like I think dystopian like directors, and it really depends on the director and obviously the writing, because they need to have a vision, and they need to have a vision of a future that's a bit grim, a bit grimy, a bit thing, and a lot of them are good at almost predicting things. So like, you know, they have a good... So Blade Runner was Ridley Scott, obviously. He obviously had a very good vision of how he wanted the film to look, where he mixed, as you say, the noir elements, and then he also took, say, you know, these Asian skyscrapers, these Asian cities. Like it feels like when you're watching that, it could be in you know,
Japan
Shenzhen.
or something.
Yeah, it could be in Japan. It could be, you know what I mean. It's literally, but it's also still very grimy. It's got its grimy underbelly. It's got kind of
it looks nice when he's flying above it, but then when he gets into it,
and then he goes in and there's like strip clubs, you know, things like
you know
that.
What takes like real inspiration from that? Remember, you know the scene where Padme is gonna get assassinated in Star Wars, episode 2.
Yes, with the worms.
Yeah, with the worms, and then weird. And he goes to the bar I always think of Blade Runner when I think of that.
It's very Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
But I mean, they kind of did that first with like the Tatooine
and stuff.
In the Mos Eisley bar, but
you could say Star Wars is dystopian.
Star Wars is technically dystopian. I mean, it actually fully is dystopia because I mean it's an overarching oppressive power.
Each actually trilogy has their own dystopia. So you could say that the prequels is like a authoritative kind of Clone Wars, fucking everyone is like in line.
Like a Jedi Council.
It's almost like a religious dystopia. So apparently there's 4 different dystopias, and one is like
in Star Wars.
In general. So there's like a religious dystopia, a kind of political dystopia. Then there's dystopias based around like kind of food and rations and different things like that, resources and who has control of those resources. And then there's another. I forget what the other is, but I mean you do kind of see those elements enforced in like all of these kind of tellings, like. Children of Men, for example, is a really good, or even like The Lobster with Colin Farrell. It's kind of like it's all about reproducing, you know, and like finding a mate. And whereas like Children of Men is like that's gone now.
That's gone.
And this is like the after effects of it. Children of Men is definitely.
It's just a fantastic film. When you look in the background, there's I mentioned this video essay, but I recently watched it again. It's about 7 minutes long. But when he goes to visit his cousin and it goes through all the arts. And like he even just has this like Michelangelo's there, and it's he's like, oh yeah, we barely got there in time or whatever. It's like they were purging all the artifacts from these places, and then he has Picasso's massive painting behind him. It's just amazing. It's so good.
I love how as well like it's so. It like Children of Men takes something like the population dropping and just how much is fucking everything in the world. Like the idea that no other like humanity might die out in a generation and it's just caused fucking mayhem. But like also people are still operating on their daily lives as normal as well, because that's how society.
I love the scene. I love the opening scene where he's just going in and getting his coffee, and then like a bomb goes off because you can see like people are so obsessed with these celebrity children.
Yeah, but what's
his name again? Baby Diego.
Baby Diego. He was like 27, and his photo was like him.
And he's a fucking arsehole because he's clearly the most spoiled fucking.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like footballers or something.
But that's what's kind of making a comment on that kind of thing.
Yeah, like, stabbed, and then there's that kind of like Tomorrow group of people who are working on a cure, but they're also like a myth, which I love as well. But you can see in Children of Men especially where it took from other like dystopian films, and I like how they take from each other. Like in Brazil and in Children of Men, there's just random explosions, and everyone just kind of gets on with it. They barely blink because it's kind of like, oh, that's just the revolutionaries and everything. Or like in V for Vendetta, Stephen Fry's character is kind of like an open rebelling character. He has like a copy of the Quran, all these different things. You also have like Michael Caine in Children of Men, who is like a kind of off the grid, living by himself, listening to all the music he wants, doesn't really care a lot about
get involved.
And he mentions like the government are handing out suicide kits because the world's gone to shit, obviously, but weed is still illegal.
Exactly.
It's that like different commentary on like the values of kind of like the conservative governments.
Pure fucking Kyo's crisps.
You can have. But I mean that's why I love dystopia as a genre, because like every director who does it well. And because I'm sure there's plenty of hokey ones out there as well that are like, oh Jesus, where they're just terrible rip-offs. But you can
everyone has to eat cheese. Cheese is the only thing on the menu.
Wallace and Gromit. A dystopia. A dystopian film.
Wallace and Gromit and the Collapse Society. But
that's the second time Wallace and Gromit is
well, we have something about that.
We should just do a Wallace
and
Gromit. I actually would love to.
But like another one as well is like Snowpiercer. We talked that at length, and like they had a lot of fun with that concept.
Oh, and the TV show. I shat on this TV show a couple of weeks ago. I actually finished. I was wrong about the 20 episodes. Sorry. When I went to IMDb, I went on the homepage, 20 episodes, there's 10 more confirmed for next season. So it's 10 episodes in the season.
That's much more manageable.
Listen, the last 2 episodes got 9 out of 10s on IMDb. So pretty good, ends pretty
it's
well. The world
sweet.
building is excellent in it. Now, if you go into it feeling like you want to see the Snowpiercer again, it's not like that. It kind of completely throws everything out the bag.
I'd rather that. I'd rather
the world building, because one of the things that we complain about in Snowpiercer is the world building is pretty shoddy.
Yeah, we're just kind of skipping.
Yeah, but they take a lot of time. Like the whole first episode basically explains everything on the train.
The history of the train.
And the history of the train or whatever, and it's brilliant. But dystopian futures, the world building seems to just be so good all the time, and that's what pulls people into it. Like everyone loves Black Mirror. Everyone loves Black Mirror because they're kind of like, wow. Even when you look at the coronavirus, like the fucking line is pretty thin between society and sitting at your desk to fucking looting
to everything being up
like it snowed in Ireland. We looted little because we couldn't go to work for
and I think that's what dystopians do. They comment on how fragile humanity is. They're like we're teetering along, and all it takes is one thing to go a little bit too far, and we could all be gone. In trouble. Like
I think before you gotta like put different elements of society in check, and that's what they do. Like we were saying, they take small elements. They exacerbate it and kind of show you how wrong that tiny thing could go. Like, take for Akshay. Like, Bong Joon-ho is unbelievable at dystopian. Because, like, all of his films are, in a sense, dystopian. Like, they kind of are. I mean, Parasite is just a telling of a story, but I mean, like...
It's fairly dystopian. It's set in South Korea, which a lot of people... probably feels quite dystopian.
It's an extremely layered society, and dystopians are always extremely layered as well. I mean, like, there's that scene where they're going from the park house up all the way down through like the bridges and the staircases all the way down to their basement,
and it's fucking flooded, and she has to sit to stop a literal shit coming up, and she just has a smoke.
And it's always that kind of...
I love that movie so much.
How many times have you seen it?
Only once.
I've watched it twice. I watched it twice.
I better watch it.
I went to go see it in cinema, and then I watched it here again.
I watched it before the pod. I think actually in college I watched it, but because it's going to be extremely culturally relevant. But Bong Joon-ho, even in like Akshay, for example, I mean the commentary on slaughterhouses, but it even shows like how ridiculous slaughterhouses could become, and the fact that we're going to have to create food, we're going to have to create new animals that can produce more food.
Which is kind of what we do with cows. I mean, it's not far off. Like if you see what a cow looked like a couple of 100 years ago,
messed up. Like
not really what they look like now. Like,
but even like there's so many things about
selective breeding.
There's so many things that he even missed out on. I mean, apparently like 50% of our vegetation and like the crops we use in vegetation go toward feeding animals, feeding cattle, which is kind of
Burger King actually just released that they're going to change their the diet of the cows to reduce methane by 33%.
Announcing it with a song by Mason Ramsey.
I was like, way to greenwash it, like.
Good idea though, to be fair.
Oh no, it is.
And to be fair, Burger King also released that. I love Mason Ramsey. The Burger King also did that non-meat burger. Once they get good enough. No, it's called
Beyond Meat.
Beyond Meat.
Oh, it's called Beyond. Yeah.
I don't know. Is that what Burger King?
I don't know. That's what it's called in North America, but I think
it was called what was it called again?
Because there is the Beyond Burger the
Impossible Burger.
Impossible Burger. Yeah. But once I feel like once that they get like the ability to grow meat in a lab efficient enough, they're just going to be like, oh yeah, all the cows disappeared.
Is it kind of like an issue of efficiency?
It's efficiency right now. So it takes 4 times the water. And it's 4 times the water to produce one of those burgers than it does to basically get the pound of meat per cattle. But it's so inefficient on all scales. It's just like, it's a fucking nightmare. If you look into it, you're like, oh my god.
Because I mean,
it's also, I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, so I kind of just like pushed it to the back of my head. Every time I get like good news about it, I'm like, alright, okay.
Because even like Dolly the sheep, she was 30 years ago. Like, where's the manufactured sheep straight out of
labs? Yeah, but like that probably cost billions of pounds.
And she didn't last long.
And she died like straight away. Yeah. That's all they need to do.
We made the sheep, its heart exploded.
That's
instantly.
Kill me!
Yeah.
But isn't that's kind of like, I feel like that touches on like why consumerism is such an issue in most of these like films, because so many of these issues are so solvable if monetary costs weren't a factor. You know, I mean, like even different things like in logistics. I mean, they do have like biodegradable styrofoam. but it's extremely expensive, you know. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah,
like different things along them lines, and there's so many like facets.
It's easier to be a piece of shit currently.
100%.
So people are going to do it. Like.
I mean, that's America for you. Not to get like too much into America, but like the GMOs in America that we were talking about, like
it's just easier to inject it with a load of shit. And
free range, the size of your food, free range is expensive. You know, I mean, like
but everyone watch Super Size Me 2 and you'll see what free range means in America.
With all the chicken and stuff, that's gonna freak me out, man. I know it is.
Watch it, and it is the size of my laptop.
Me to my core.
It's the size of my laptop.
Sorry, what?
Has anyone seen Idiocracy? Which is
my god!
Yes,
I'm so glad.
This is a great kind of. This is a Sky movie.
Sky movies.
And
you know what? This film does not get nearly enough praise. It is really good. It's so
people are going to
funny.
look back on this.
Unfortunately, it kind of has the cast that makes you look at it. You look at it and you go,
"This looks
comedy,
like a dumb
comedy, kind of ridiculous." But it actually has such a good kind of
concept.
It almost like more so than a lot of these films we're talking about. Kind of shows like what direction we're heading in like an extremely satirical way. It is obviously extremely satirical. But like
I love the police brutality in this.
So
they just beat the shit into anyone. And they feed the plants Gatorade. Like.
The president is Terry Crews.
Yeah.
He's like...
and he's like sleeveless.
He's
fucking jacked.
But I mean, like... they could have made this film. Donald Trump could have been the president.
Well, this is it. Like, he's a celebrity in it who gets elected president.
He actually could have been in this movie.
100%.
He could have been in it. In an alternate reality, people are watching this movie and being like, "Oh yeah, fuck."
It's not even an alternate reality. You can watch episodes of The Simpsons.
I believe as well. I believe Terry Crews told the story because I watched one of his GQ interviews where he broke down all his roles and he was talking about playing the president. And he's like, I put so much effort into that. He was like, I really gave that like socks, and I thought that was going to be like my big fucking movie. And it bombed, and I believe it bombed is because they got all these companies like Gatorade, McDonald's, and all to sign
Mountain
on.
Dew is a
and made fun of every single one of them, and they were really not happy about it, and so they really helped tank the marketing.
They lobby against it.
Exactly. So they obviously signed on thinking they were going to...
An email will go, please do not go see this movie. It's against the McDonald's family views.
But like they could have paid a few
absolutely.
A few fucking critics to shit
It's not really a popularized film at all, to be honest, is it? I mean, like, we
and it is worth a watch, 100%.
100%.
Now that I'm older, really I haven't seen it since it was on, like, maybe 10 years, like. But now that I've kind of matured and whatever,
and you'll appreciate the jokes.
Absolutely more. It wasn't meant for fucking 12-year-olds.
And I love the whole concept of Idiocracy is that Luke Wilson, he gets frozen in time. He's gone. Like, he's fallen off the face of the earth. Even Owen's gone a little bit missing in the last one. Owen But anyway, Luke is he's your average Joe, and he gets stuck in the future, and he's the smartest man by miles. Like, he is way more.
Well, I'm not being funny now. I don't want to obviously get too much into like I don't want to compare these societies too much to our own society, because you could do that for hours. But I mean, you know what I do in college. I do like a load of cultural study things, and I have to read fucking like James Joyce and all. I hate it and everything like that. But the language that these people used back 100 years ago, because of how unbelievable the amount of literature they had to read. Like, it was like the amount of movies and television we intake, and just TikTok and Instagram and everything that we intake.
Yeah, in physical writing.
All of that was like next level literature for them.
Yeah.
So like, if you took Oscar Wilde and brought him in today's society,
would he just be a TikTok video?
Would he just be like a TikTok video? Exactly. Would he be a TikToker? Like, would he have peaked on Vine?
I don't think that's a very outlandish claim.
I don't either. And I think that this film kind of highlights that perfectly. Is that like society has kind of broken down into this really low attention span. Kind of quick. Now on to the next thing. Advertise.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Have you ever tried to concentrate? Like, fuck that. Like,
it's hard.
so difficult.
It's very difficult.
I've started reading more books so I can cleanse the bad screen. I don't like the bad screen at work. I want to get home to the good screen. Good screen. I'm on the good screen, baby.
Although
the free screen, where I can do whatever I like. Where's the bad screen?
although you know what's a very interesting thing is that, like, when phones first came out, and I'm talking like Nokias and stuff, like mobile phones was popular. Do you remember how we all used to text?
Yeah.
Like, using abbreviations like U and the number 2 and stuff. They actually were. People were very afraid that like literacy was going to fucking
break down,
skydive. And thanks to predictive text, literacy has actually gone up because people
are annoyed when they see the fucking little red scribble.
Yeah, and they go, "Oh fuck, how do I spell that?"
I know. Like I did that today with receive. I was like, that doesn't start.
And even
with
like,
I feel like now I'm like, oh, now it's an EI. Now it's an EI, and now I'm like, that annoyed me.
That'll stay in your head.
That annoyed me.
That'll actually stay
so
in
I'm
your
like,
head,
okay, yeah.
I feel like meme culture helped that as well because meme culture started really making fun of the fact that like if you don't know the difference between you are and you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, I can't
or
there or two and two. You're an idiot. I cannot like accentuate that.
How did you get on this podcast? Who helped you?
It's time to grow up and learn what the difference is in your grammatical structure of the language that you speak every day. English speakers as a whole, we already don't speak another language. So we better get ours right, you know?
Yeah. I love that as well about like these dystopian films is they play around with language too, and like in Mad Max Fury Road they use a lot of slang and stuff. They throw all this different slang and things like that, and you can have so much fun with that in these genres, and that's why I'm really looking forward to seeing the Fallout adaptation, because they have all these like inventions and terminology they use, and Fallout is that same as that Blade Runner thing where it's like that 50s noir, that kind of like, you know, everything. They're still using record players and valves and things like that, but it's set in this kind of like they also have futuristic things and like, you know,
fucking ray guns and shit.
and like a lot. I wonder, did a lot of the dystopian stuff from the 80s come out of the Cold War in the 70s, because of like a lot of it was about nuclear fear and like, you know, the nuclear holocaust is going to. Some people will survive a nuclear holocaust. Some people become horribly mutated.
And like the battle of the regimes, you know. I mean, like in World War II.
The factions.
I mean, that's kind of what 1984 came from, is the fear of communism.
Fear of communism,
and how that kind of grew. But he actually ended up describing a society that would kind of, we'd see a lot of similarities regardless of because of just like how mass marketed media would be, and like a lot of 1984 is quite based around that, which is cool. But they also have like, they're in that book they're creating newspeak, which is a new way of speaking that is kind of like
constantly positive towards the
regime. And you say less, so you're quicker, it's snappier. I mean, it's almost dumbing people down again, but again it's a lot more like controlled and applied. But you see this in a lot of things where like stuff gets combined together. And even Clockwork Orange, sorry, I have the appendix up now, and this has the best vernacular ever, like the best vocabulary ever of just like the colloquials and it, like apipolylogis is apologies. It's like a real kind of like, it's a real kind of British sense, and like an auto is a car, a babushka is an old woman.
That's Russian.
I know, but a lot of it is Russian because it's also like giving a nod to like Russia's dystopia in all of like the Western eyes anyway. And then like a boddywad is bad, Banda is banned, Barry Place is prison.
I wonder like Kubrick, does that come from, because like I mean it's literally like, we had this discussion, didn't we, I think, about like how like in America they call snacks real like normal things, like so they're called fruit roll-ups in America, they're called winders over here and in the UK, and it's like I saw like a meme, it's like, oh, like, can I have a rocket pop? But it's like, oh, you mean a wingy wagon whizzle?
But we don't get away with this either, because Irish people literally like, oh, I'm gonna pull a Gary B there, Gary Baylor. That's a footballer plays for Real Madrid.
Like, what would that? Like, we are so bad for that. Absolutely. I'm gonna Gary B. Bale.
Well, that is like colloquials are just ridiculous.
Yeah, like the Jacks. The Jacks make sense.
Yeah.
Because it was Jack Harrington. John Harrington, who created
the toilet.
Who
is that Kit Harrington's
great granddad.
Yeah. Mental.
Yeah. He doesn't it on Graham Norton. But there's also Crapper, who made something.
Crapper made the...
He made the plungy thingy. The
bobble. The bobble that lets you flush.
Yeah. So there's Crapper and John. So that's why it's called the John.
Isn't that hilarious that you call craps now? You go for a crap, like...
Yeah. I'm sure his great-grandson's sitting here like, fuck.
You know what's like mental as well? I was kind of looking into him quite a bit. You know who Alex is in Clockwork Orange? You know Malcolm McDowell, who is, we talked about last week, the fucking, he's meant to be kind of like an Anthony Hopkins knockoff in the Halloween movies.
Yes.
So he was mentioned last week. He kind of did nothing with his career after Clockwork, but
he's very good in Clockwork Orange.
Unbelievable in Clockwork. I love Clockwork Orange, but Stanley Kubrick apparently had an IQ of 200.
What?
Which is the same level as Leonardo da Vinci.
Holy
That's crazy.
And why on earth, Stanley, did you out them paedophiles in Hollywood? Yeah. And now you're dead. We could have gone so much more.
He was only 72. Like I researched a lot into this because I watched Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah,
but
he was a great director.
But then apparently his daughter was like
his
granddaughter was like, yeah, this is all crap. Like he released all his films as is. Like
like he was notoriously the one guy who always stuck to his vision.
Yeah.
Like he was always.
Yeah.
It's funny enough. Speaking of that, Jack, we mentioned this film before, and this is a very dystopian one. AI. The artificial intelligence, which Steven Spielberg ended up finishing, but that was a Kubrick project that had.
I would love to see what Kubrick did with that.
I feel like it would have
been a lot darker.
Yeah,
it's quite a sad movie in the end of it. Like,
it's Pinocchio. In an AI world.
It's more of like a. It's a cleaner history. It's just kind of like when robots get so like sentient that you can kind of replace them.
They're still second class citizens as well. But it's a little bit like iRobot. A little bit like iRobot, but also the whole irony of it is they're kind of second class citizens, but then they end up outliving humanity because they're not bound by physical form. Like, and they end up.
I feel like Kubrick though in like a lot of his works, like kind of Space Odyssey and Full Metal Jacket in a sense as well, like Eyes Wide Shut, they're all kind of commentaries on society, but like a real kind of the same structure of that kind of like elitist kind of, you know, this is where we're heading, or this is where we are in the case of like Full Metal Jacket, for example,
and it's dark, and it's dark,
and
even though it's set very like
he's very like I can see how he was an inspiration for so many people. I mean, like even like Christopher Nolan, who we're talking about on the next podcast, said Ridley Scott and Stanley Kubrick direct influences. Like they were just they basically made him who he was, you know, and you can see that through and through.
Funny you say Ridley Scott. So we talked about Blade Runner. I think what's very good about the Alien film is that kind of dystopian Weyland-Yutani, this giant big mining
corporation.
And that came from Dan O'Bannon talked about that, where he saw it as truckers in space, and he just saw them as like these like 5 trucker, and he obviously saw like, you know, that's kind of a dystopian world where it's like this big kind of industrial complex of a nation, you know what I mean? And that's what's Alien kind of went off that, especially in the second one. They want to bring the alien back for the company.
Yeah, for the company.
It's all about the company, like, you know what I mean?
And even in Aliens, I mean, like, they have to go and police, like, their kind of community world that's, like, all about bringing in, like, raw materials.
Mining. Mining.
The end game is to fucking basically...
Real estate.
It's money, like, which is basically, like, the driver of all of these kind of dystopias,
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, what like... Just to get more specific, what would be like your favorite like dystopia? Because I think
which one would you like to live in? Well, we can have favorite ones, because no one wants to live in fucking Snowpiercer. But I do love that world.
Well, if you had to live in one, which one would it be?
Are we doing live first or your favorite one? Your favorite depiction, like on cinema or like
favorite?
Well, mine is V for Vendetta.
That's when you want to live in, or your favorite one?
No, I wouldn't want to live in V for Vendetta. It's way too kind of
very dark.
like V is the only one kind of having.
If you were mates with V, it'd be cool, but
even not really. Natalie Portman goes through the ringer.
Yeah, she does go through the fucking ringer.
I'm actually gonna say my favorite depiction is Children of Men. That's my favorite one because I feel it's so close to what we.
It's extremely, and I love Alfonso Cuarón.
Like he's just so good.
I'd have to agree with you there on that one, Ian. It's one of my favourite fucking films. Like.
It's so good. If you haven't seen it, I cannot.
Yeah, we can't recommend it enough.
Like no one.
I feel like it just went under the radar.
Yeah.
And like, don't watch it just seeing how unbelievable the story elements are. Watch the camera work.
Watch it twice. Watch it twice.
The acting. You've got Julianne Moore, Clive Owen.
You can kind of see how
this.
Can kind of see how this fed into Roma quite a bit. Alfonso Cuarón's work, because in Roma it's all kind of like panning wide shots and it very slowly follows the character, whereas in Children of Men it's almost like a play in the sense that the shots are so long and that the sets are so long and they're all kind of in blocks.
Yeah.
But it's always following them along. It's a lot faster paced than Roma, but you can definitely see how like he is an unbelievable cameraman, more so than anything. Just a photographer, he's an unbelievable kind of director. in that sense.
And like we mentioned before, the car scene, how they pulled that off. Just when you watch that film, you'll think it's amazing, and then watching how they actually did it. Is just the rigs they used to do it. Like there's actually, I didn't realize there's only one cut, I think, or maybe 2 in that entire sequence, but you would not notice the cut. Like you're like it's.
Did you look up the other endings to Brazil?
No, did you?
No, I didn't know. I did. Damn it, I would have.
Well, you see, this is the thing. I don't know if they're necessarily separate endings, but there's 6 cuts of the film.
Yeah.
So like apparently when you buy it, like you get 6 different fucking discs in it. Do you know what I mean? Which is like I just watched the one version of it as well. I thought it was a perfect ending. I really enjoyed the ending. I don't know whether there's a happy ending. Maybe they ended it 5 minutes before the real ending. Do you know what I mean? It could be a case of that. Like, do you know what I mean? But like, it's ironic because Blade Runner is also another one of those movies where it was released one way, a director's cut came out, and then the final cut came out, which I think you should all watch the final cut if you're going to watch Blade Runner. That's the best.
I'm not a fan of when directors do that, though.
I'm normally not, but I believe that Ridley Scott did not want to release it as it was, and the studio mandated. You have to do it this way. It has to be.
Studios need to stop interfering with just work in general.
You know what? I normally agree with that. And to be fair, I think they're definitely more detrimental to art. But sometimes you ever watch a movie and you're like, someone needed to pull you back.
Someone needed to end it.
Someone needed to put a few strings on that, and you were getting a bit too ahead of yourself on that film, because artists can be arseholes.
Yeah, they can. Yeah. But alright, so which one, if you had to live in it?
If you had to live in it, I think I already told you guys. I'd definitely live in the Blade Runner world.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Go home to the robot every night. Dinner be fucking ready.
Ball and
You'd never get lonely.
Yeah, that's true.
You'd have a little. You'd have a little fucking car. You could. The soundtrack would just be heavy synths.
You could order noodles at every single street corner.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
You know, it's a good argument. It's a good argument.
It looks hot. It looks hot.
Humid.
Humid to say least. It's never sunny, and I'm sick of sun lotion, sun cream, sun lotion. What the fuck am I? But that's my pick.
I'd probably love to be a fat fuck on a cruise ship like Wally.
Yeah, that'd be.
I mean, like chill. All you have to do is kind of like live on like this kind of roller chair and just watch like
drink milkshakes, all
drink
day.
Big horrible milkshakes, and just kind of do nothing. But if I was like looking for a slightly more active role in society, I think The Matrix would be really cool if I was like aware that it was The Matrix.
If you'd been red pilled, you'd been woken up.
Yeah, that kind of and like, I mean, I don't want to take part in the whole revolution aspects. I just want to be able to go into the Matrix and like do karate.
And any choice you want, it's like, just jump into some kung fu.
I mean, like, you know the guy who like portrays him and he gets like a steak and like
yeah. God, that's a great movie.
That's a great film.
It's such a good film.
Not underrated by any means, but I mean, like, don't watch it as just an action film.
No, it's got so many more layers.
Like, humans are batteries.
And they weren't meant to be batteries as well. Apparently, it wasn't just batteries. It was like they explained it more. It wasn't just fuel. It was like they wanted to, and then the studio said, "No one's gonna get that.
Yeah,
make them batteries." And they were like, "Okay, we'll make them batteries."
I'd definitely be the guy eating the steak.
And we'll physically show a Duracell battery. My one that I want to live in is gonna be Mad Max. Because
Ian, you would be murdered. you wouldn't last a second.
I know, but if all you need is a nice Volkswagen Beetle that's been stripped out, and just throw 20 exhausts on it, and the most precious currency is petrol. It just seems off the wall. I'd just be the guy who plays guitar on that truck.
But no, that's what I love about the Mad Max world is how theatrical it is. It's like, all right, so we're going out to chase these people, but where's our band?
Absolutely.
And like they all have like they're all pole vaulting onto the truck and everything.
So with that in mind, what do you think is the grimmest depiction of a dystopia that you've seen in cinema? One that is like so desperately grim that you're like, I would never ever want to live in that.
Oh, that's a really good question. Because you see, like, different things like V for Vendetta kind of looks like a regular society that everyone kind of needs to be woken up from, if you get me, rather than like kind of a horrible Children of Men like society. So like
Children of Men's dirty. You know?
It's horrible. Like there's rubbish everywhere. He's constantly walking past cages full of refugees people, like, and different things like that. I mean, I suppose Children of Men, like off the top of my head, is probably
that would be pretty grim. That'd be pretty grim.
In Ready Player One, they kind of live in trash, like.
They do as well.
Kind of live in bins, like,
that's not great, but they can escape.
They can escape.
Yeah, I don't think one that we've completely ignored, the Starship Troopers, and that is one world I would not want to live in. Do you know why?
Giant bugs.
You have to go to like the college or whatever, which is basically like telling you that fucking aliens are bad or whatever. There's always like an enemy or whatever. Then you have to like go to like training for like 3 weeks, and then you have to go fight massive aliens and get basically killed and eaten, and you're also in a fascist society.
You're literally watching like watered down like propaganda about how great it is to join the army. And I would probably say mine is actually going to be Brazil, because
it's a bit of a shithole.
It's just terrible. There's just nothing good. It's boring. It's just horribly grey. And what I like about all the other dystopian depictions is like there's always kind of like a little glimmer of hope in them. There's like even in Children of Men, like that there's a tiny glimmer of hope at the end. Pregnant woman, like, but with Brazil, there is no end in sight to that, and it's just one man's story. And for the whole thing, you're thinking like maybe he'll collapse society with his rebellion against bureaucracy, but no.
He's like Winston in 1984. It's very
It's very in that.
I completely forgot one. Sorry, I just thought of one there. The one that I would definitely not. Now we're obviously thinking, if we're living in these dystopian societies, are we on the poor scale of things or the rich end of scale? The rich end of things is fun.
It's always going to be great. Let's say poor to make it fair.
Like, the one that I would least like to live in is 100% fucking Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
Disgusting. I don't want to eat those jelly blocks full of cockroaches.
Yeah, and then the tailies, as they call them, which is great. Like I love how they have a fucking
TV show or
in the TV show they call them the tailies. So like the tailies are like trying to fucking have they have like 8 rebellions. They go deep into the history or whatever. But someone's always getting their fucking. They've got this new class way of killing people. So, you know, in the original one, they take you out, they put your arm at the thing. They've got really, like, ingenious with the one. So they have a room that fills up with the air slowly. And it's like, you've got 3 minutes to tell me before you fucking freeze to death. They've got another one where it's like execution style, where they put a mask on them and just put cold air into them and they freeze from the inside.
So they're using the environment.
Yeah, and then, other times you just throw people out the train.
That's probably the most effective way of just milling them out of the train.
Yeah, that's a good one. Snowpiercer, just on a constant fucking train where you're eating bars of
and like
bugs.
Like it's perpetual motion, the engine or whatever. But like there's a great line in the TV series where one of the guys, I won't blame too much, but I won't spoil too much, but basically he just says, at the end of the day on this train, we're all going to be killing each other for a single cog. The engine will run forever, but the actual train will eventually fall out. Which you could say for society, like, what's the actual point of society when we're all going to die when the sun goes out in a few million years? Let's just kill everyone.
We're all just getting along. But even like, you know what I liked about the whole like kind of 80s era of like expressing like dystopia and everything, and they were obviously very much interested in that. And I think, like you were saying, Ian, I think that followed a lot from the Cold War. Like it's literally the decade after, kind of the decade during, I suppose. And like the same thing happened in World War II. I mean, there was a lot of dystopian depictions, but like I love how as society's progressed, it's changed. Like even the remake of Judge Dredd, which you wanted to talk about as overrated, as underrated.
Yeah,
is a Dredd. It does it a lot better and like explain like apartment blocks and how they've kind of grown and how they're completely excess and how they're overpopulated, and it's in a real disgusting way how they do it in Dredd compared to Judge Dredd was a lot more campy, and it was a lot more Sylvester Stallone going around like and everything like that. Whereas Dredd is actually like a really good dystopian commentary.
It is.
I think it was a comic
good
book,
action.
Dread.
Yeah,
I think it was.
Yeah, I think they probably just.
Well, they saw it as a comic book movie, and they were like, "Oh, Schumacher made them like that. Let's
make it."
Yeah, but no, like Carl Urban's Dredd is I watched it like 3 weeks ago. It's really good. It's really interesting. Like it's dark.
Donald Gleason's in it.
Donald Gleason is in it, and I don't like his character because he's like a little weasel. I feel like they like.
But he's also kind of like a robot. I like how.
He's like a cyborg kind of thing. I know it has that whole redemption.
And Lena Headey is.
She's pretty. She's good. She's okay. Okay.
I actually really.
It's underrated because it got fucking trashed.
Yeah.
You know.
I like it for the world more so than the actual.
I like
itself.
the drugs that they're using. The chromo. That's
Snowpiercer.
Chrono
is Snowpiercer.
It's like I don't know. It's called like slow down juice or something.
Or Chronol,
stupid.
It's Chronol.
Is it Chronol?
In Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
There's always a bit of a vague thing about drug use in kind of dystopian depictions. Like there's always a little bit of a kind of vague thing about like there's some fucking wired drug.
Some nectar,
exactly. But I mean, do we have anything else to really?
Oh, we forgot actually. I mean, you see, you could do this forever because there's just so many of these films because the genre is just so popular. I think the genre is just extremely impactful on everyone, and that's why it's gotten so. Because it's very hard to watch one of these films, and if like the dystopian aspect of it is the main, like it's the pivotal piece in it, it's very hard to come away from them and not be like, wow, that was an incredible film. But like even like I feel like a lot of those campy 80s films really kind of missed the mark in making it like the main thing, like Total Recall or even like Minority Report. It's far more about like
that's a similar
action.
Am I right in saying this Minority Report, is meant to be a sequel to Total Recall, but they just made it too many years later?
I think
is it meant to be
on the.
I feel like they're connected, but I think that's just because they're both.
That somewhere. I don't know.
I feel like they're both just so campy.
They've obviously been made by different directors and stuff, but I don't know where I'm getting this from, but I'm almost 100% certain.
Yeah.
It was originally intended to be a sequel to Total Recall, and they probably
you can kind of see it though. I think I like how they could kind of bring that into it. I think Recall might be a company in it as well, because Recall is
the company in
Total Recall. Recall is they kind of like give you a fake vacation, like they give you the memories of people, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger. The whole of Total Recall is it a dream or not, which is kind of bullshit.
And it is. It's the one thing.
But you don't know. They don't say at the end that it's a dream.
No, they don't.
But it's strongly suggested. And if they turned around and they were like, it is a dream, I would never talk about that film ever. I would literally be writing online reviews about it. I'd be that angry.
I don't know if the trope was as overused at that stage as well.
No, they definitely could have thought it was still good at that stage. But Minority Report, actually, they kind of dipped into that in the Marvel universe.
Well, Minority Report was written by Philip K. Dick, who wrote tons of science fiction, and I wonder, did he write Total Recall? He wrote I'm gonna see. Yeah, he wrote Blade Runner.
He wrote Blade Runner.
Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
The Android Dream of Electric Sheep.
Which is
unbelievable name.
He also wrote The Man in the High Castle, A Scanner Darkly, which is. Have you ever seen that movie? It is insane. It's Keanu Reeves and all. Alex Jones is actually in it.
No way.
Yeah, no joke. And it's all like cartoon drawings, but like it's kind of very hyper realistic. So they obviously filmed it in like CG, but they made them like cartoon. It is insane. I've never seen the film. I've just obviously seen clips of it. And apparently that's a dystopian one as well. Like
he's an excellent writer.
Yeah, I mean he's got.
But no, it was Dan O'Bannon who was like the forefront writer on Total Recall.
Oh no, so Total Recall was adapted twice. Dan O'Bannon, I think, was adapting it.
Was he not? I thought he wrote the actual. Like he wrote the story and then it was adapted.
Oh, that's probably what it was. Well, it says this: Dick's posthumous influence has been widespread, extending beyond literary circles into Hollywood filmmaking. Popular films based on Dick's works include Blade Runner, Total Recall, adapted twice in 1990 and 2012. Minority Report. Okay, so they're probably not direct.
Probably kind of like just like interconnected. You know,
like,
similar
world.
Stories. My favorite Marvel film is Winter Soldier, which kind of plays on like what Minority Report was playing on, which is kind of the idea of like predicting a terrorist or like a criminal before they actually kind of
commit the crime,
before they commit the crime. Because it is weird to think that our society is based upon kind of solving the crime after it's been committed. Which is like there's like it is a real dystopian idea. How do you prevent crime? But it's very interesting to kind of think about like we're not out there catching murderers until they've murdered
somebody.
you know I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
But that's what I love about this genre more so than anything.
It's very interesting. They pull you in because the worlds are just so interesting. If they're done correctly, like you can get some pretty... I've yet to come across a world where I'm like... I feel like sometimes these movies get a pass because the world can be interesting.
Yeah. Well, 100%.
I think that kind of... You might argue with me in this, but Children of Men, I genuinely didn't think Julianne Moore or Clive Owen were exceptional in this.
I really liked them both in it.
I like Clive Owen in it.
I think Julianne Moore's part was very small in it.
Yeah.
I loved Michael Caine's part.
He was so good.
He was actually
good in everything.
Yeah.
But I found like Julianne Moore and Clive Owen, I'm not sure if you've noticed this, but I feel like a lot of the sound was kind of like dubbed for this film. Not dubbed in a sense, but a lot of it was like
they definitely ADR a lot of the dialogue in it, I
feel like this was very kind of like loose on that a bit because it was a bit.
Yeah, I'd say it was because they were filming in environments where there was constant noise,
and fucking noise, everything,
massive sets,
like that scene at the end where they're going through like the apartment blocks and everything. The war zone is fucking amazing.
Well, not only does these films like highlight the like the actual society itself, but it also highlights kind of like the problematic issues of like revolution. For example, and the people that get hurt along the way. I mean, like V for Vendetta is a very good example of a revolution that goes right, but in
the
likes
cost,
of... There is a cost.
Human cost.
And then, like, Chiwetel Ejiofor in Children of Men, it's like the perfect example of why like a revolution can also be wrong. Like you're stooping to the same level, whereas like Julianne Moore represents a lot more, but how it's actually done and how you're going to
get results from
is even worse. And you lose the actual goal along the way. I always love that.
Absolutely.
So we recommend 5 must-watch dystopian movies, and then we'll call it quits.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Ready Player One, Ian. Just fucking watch it. Like it's Spielberg.
That was not even for you listeners. That was just for me.
That's just for Ian. Just saying it, Ian.
Children of Men, obviously.
Children of Men, yeah. Brazil, I think that's a must-watch. I think it's an absolute must-watch.
Then I'm going to throw in V for Vendetta just because it's personal to me. I'm actually doing my dissertation on V for Vendetta.
Sweet.
So I think Idiocracy is a good kind of like mix
just to mix it up.
Mix it up, yeah. A bit of fun.
And then for TV series, just Black Mirror
and Snowpiercer.
So every episode, like, give the first 2 episodes just the benefit of doubt.
Stick to it.
It's on Netflix. The full season's out now. So
every episode's
every episode's out there now. So if you want good world building, decent acting, and I think that's everything, guys.
That's it, guys. Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. As always, guys, thank you so much for all the support and everything. Please follow us on our Instagram at The Full Feature. Please, if you could give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, it would mean the world to us. And give us a follow on Spotify and share us with your friends, because we're always looking for more listeners. And if you have any movies that you want us to cover, any topics, anything you want us to talk about at all, please let us know. And next week we are going to be doing Christopher Nolan.
Right after this podcast.
Literally right after this, because I'm going away on Tuesday. So we'll be talking all of his major films, everything and anything.
In anticipation of Tenet more so than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I don't have any news on, but I'm sure we will in a few.
Hopefully.
So we will see you guys next week.